All right, this video is going to cover 3 different types of deadlifts. The traditional deadlift, the straight leg deadlift, and then a long stance deadlift. Now deadlifts and dead shifts are meant to kind of mimic real life movements, the typical movements that individuals will commonly injure their low back. Because they're moving improperly, or that the muscles that you need to engage are not strong. So these exercises are intended to strengthen those muscles that you need for those types of lifts and movements, and then also just teach the correct form for those movements so that injury doesn't occur. So the first one is just the traditional deadlift. First of all, with every single exercise, you want to be mindful that you maintain a neutral spine. So from tailbone all the way to the top of your head, your spine should remain straight and neutral as possible. This way you're avoiding the bending in the back. You just want to keep everything neutral and straight. Also, breathing is important. Anytime you're doing a lift, usually there's going to be one phase that's like the exertion, where it feels like you might have to grunt or something like that. That's when you're going to want to exhale on the exertion phase of it, and then you inhale on the other phase of it, the recovery phase. All right, so traditional deadlift. So right now I have 2 hand weights, and you can use whatever objects you want to. You can use gallons of milk, grocery bags with books in them, small child, whatever works for you. I luckily have some hand weights in my house, so I can use them for this lift. So I have them placed on the floor. They're a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. My feet are going to butt right up next to them, almost like where they're almost touching my toes. And so when I'm going to lower down to lift these things up, I'm going to be very mindful that, again, my spine stays neutral, and that the weight is in my feet, kind of more towards the center or towards the back of my feet. So heels to middle of your feet should feel the pressure against the floor. So here's the deadlift. So I lower down, bending my knees, keeping my spine straight, chest up, lower down. When I get to this down position, my elbows are almost in line with my knees. I grab the weights and then come back up to the top position. So I'll perform a few reps. So I'm going to lower, touch the ground, come back up. Now, this entire time, again, another thing to be mindful of is that your lower abdomen is firm, that it's holding all of the muscles that are stabilizing your low spine nice and firm and controlled. So down, exhale on the up, down, exhale on the up. I'll do this at a side view so you can see that. Down. So that's the traditional deadlift. Now, straight leg deadlift is also commonly referred to as just a traditional deadlift, but it's actually called, technically, a straight leg or stiff leg deadlift. So I'm going to show this one from the side view. So I'm placing my feet a little wider than shoulder width apart. The weights are going to be kind of against my thighs right here. I'm going to lower them to the floor, bending at my hips, not my waist. So I'm going to hinge at my hips, keeping that spine straight from tailbone to my head. And so when I lower down, my knees are going to be soft, my feet are firm into the floor, my spine is straight, and I lower down straight leg, stiff leg, till my weights reach the floor or right above the floor, and then I come back up. On this exercise, you should feel the tension in the back of your thighs, your hamstring and your glutes. And you should also feel that your low back muscles are working. They shouldn't feel strained or painful. If they do, stop. Don't do anything that's going to hurt. And maybe we can meet and make sure that the exercises, that the way you're doing it is not going to injure your low back. So that is the stiff leg deadlift, the traditional deadlift. So now I'm going to show you the long stance deadlift. So this one, I start with the weight in my hand. Now I'm going to go into a real long, long stance. My front knee is bent slightly. My back leg is straight, and I've got the weight kind of against my abdomen right here. So the idea is to lower this weight right in front of my front foot to touch the ground, and then come back to this top position. But when I lower, I'm really bending the knee, this front knee, and allowing this part of my leg to really do all the work. So I'm going to lower it down, and then come back up. Again, being very mindful that your chest remains up, that your spine remains straight, you're breathing and holding your abdomen firm. So that's the long stance deadlift. And you would switch feet, do it with the other leg forward. All right,